Okay, welcome back. We've got a conversation now coming up with Varun Berry of Britannia, to discuss the fantastic earnings this time around and a lot more. Varun, thanks so much for joining us on the show this morning. Now, Britannia has managed to outperform peers in Q4. In fact, it's outdone itself and posted one of the best growths that we've seen in a while. But how sustainable is this trajectory, and what's the demand outlook as well? How do you see momentum shaping up in July?
So first of all, glad to be on your show. Yes, it's been extraordinary times and truly a stunning performance from the team here in Britannia. It's been such a delight to see this. We started on the back foot completely. We were not sure where we were going to go because factories were not starting off, and distribution systems were in disarray. But the way the team came together, I think the trick was in being so well connected. We used to connect every day for 2 hours just to discuss early in the morning, to discuss what had happened the previous day and what were the tasks for each one of us for the next day. And we would just execute flawlessly. It was everyone, with their shoulder to the wheel and just executing at a rate which was just outstanding. So delighted to see that. I personally think that what's happened during this time is a case of, us getting share of stomach. As I've even said in the past, human beings don't start to consume more or less. The consumption, the amount of food that human beings eat is about the same. It's just that there was no on-premise, there was no out of home, there was no on-the-go consumption happening during this time. It was all home consumption. And in times like this, first of all, our product is home consumption product. So that gave us an advantage. But more than that, ours is the most trusted brand. And in tough times like this, people do gravitate to the most trusted brand. So I think that was, what made us get more share of stomach for the consumers. And yes, there was some amount of larder stocking which was happening, but that was right in the beginning of this, pandemic. Thereafter, it's been, as we've gone through this, it's becoming a regular consumption for most consumers.
Okay, and as we slowly started to unlock, has the demand momentum continued in July?
So the demand momentum, I would say, is going to continue, albeit at a slightly slower pace as we go through the year. I would think it's very difficult to forecast what's going to happen tomorrow. But if someone was to put a gun to my head and say, give me a forecast, I would say that this is here to stay for at least 6 to 9 months. And we've got to understand and we've got to make sure that we live with the new reality. And we look at the challenges and we create them into opportunities for ourselves.
Right. Varun also wanted to understand, you've not been as strong traditionally or in the past when it comes to the rural end of the market and, the so-called Hindi heartland or Hindi-speaking belt. But you've slowly managed to grow there as well. And now you've seen a contribution of about almost 30% of your sales coming in from the rural belt. Considering that rural is the one which is catching up momentum first and expected to continue that way as well, what's your distribution and penetration strategy when it comes to the rural segment of the markets?
So we've done a lot of work in the last 7 years on rural, and that's what's keeping us in very good stead as far as our numbers are concerned. You're right, the rural trends are a lot more aggressive than the urban trends. Even the pandemic hasn't hit the rural consumers as much as what we are seeing in the urban centers. So we are seeing a huge demand. We are from 21,000 rural distributors in February. In June, we've been able to take this up to 22,000 distributors. We did see a setback in between for a couple of months, but we are back with a bang, and we are again starting to build our rural distribution even further. UP, which was our weakest state, is now our second largest state. I'm not saying that we are a very big share player in that state.
Okay, fair enough. Varun, margins also expanded significantly on the back of cost controls. How much of cost saving have you put in place during the lockdown? Do you see this reversing at all? We might see a little bit of inflation. So is this 20% plus margin level sustainable?
Well, you're right. I don't think a 21% margin is sustainable. But we are going to make sure that we try and see whatever we can get out of it. There will be almost 50% of this will go right back, because advertising and sales promotion will get back to normal as soon as we have full product out in the market. And similarly, there are certain other costs which will get back. But we are looking at every possibility of getting as much out of this period and as much learning out, so that we can get as much savings out of this. I am not in a position to say how much of this is going to stay, but our objective will be to at least get about 30-35%, a third of it to stay.
Varun, your non-biscuit segment as well has seen fairly strong growth. Bakery and dairy, which was struggling as well, has now seen high demand and managed to pick up, because people do want these reputed packaged brands. Will this be converted, according to you, into brand loyalty, and then therefore give, even cheeses, rusks, and, all of that as well, a firm place in the household, according to you, when it comes to these product categories?
No, absolutely. And our bread business has done spectacularly well. Our bread business has outgrown our overall bakery business, not just in terms of top line, but also in the bottom line sense, right? Similarly, our cheese business has grown almost 2 times what our overall growth is. So all of these businesses are doing well. I don't think these are sustainable growth numbers, because they are one-off, but it's just giving us a very clear outlook on what are the opportunities, what are the areas that we can really concentrate on. And that's becoming a very exciting project for me as we go forward.
What was the products mix, if you could really highlight that? And more importantly, wanted to understand about the new product launches, the kind of innovations that you're going to be focusing on going forward. Now that we are working towards, new products, is that really back on track? Do you have a new product pipeline in that sense to launch, or has everything taken a back seat?
Yes, absolutely. So our R&D center is working overtime on, the kind of products that the consumers are looking for. Obviously, the first objective was to max the core. But beyond that, that we've gotten into new categories. There is a lot of work happening on those categories. Obviously, market research, insights work could not happen during this 4-month period. And that's delayed some of our, rollout of products into the total India market. But having said that, it's only a delay. We are going to be back with a bang as far as category growths are concerned, as well as new innovation products are concerned. We are also working on some immunity products. And we are really doing research to make sure that we bring in absolutely the right products which give the consumers the genuine, result that they are looking for.
Sure. Good to have you on the show, Varun. Thanks so much for taking the time out and highlighting what really went by in the quarter. And of course, what's the strategy going forward as well. On that note, we're going to wind it up in this edition of The Market.